on December 25th, 1821, in North Oxford, Massachusetts. I was the youngest child of 5 siblings. My siblings taught me basic skills like how to read and write. In 1833, when I was 11 years old, my brother David fell off the roof of our barn and got extremely sick. So I decided to take care of him until he was better. Eventually, he got better, but then so many of the children in my town got smallpox. Nobody knew how to treat smallpox, so I took care of the children. My first job was teaching at a summer school. I was 17 years old when I taught there. In 1840, I was offered a full-year school job. I said yes, but only if they pay me as much as they pay a man. In 1854, I moved to Washington, D.C., where I was offered a job at the U.S. Patent Office. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860, and shortly after his election, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Texas announced that they were seceding the Union. The states that seceded the Union called themselves the Confederate States of America, and in April 1861, their men attacked Union soldiers. The Civil War had begun. My natural instinct was to help. I knew many of the soldiers from my teaching days, so I bought food and many other supplies with my own money and gave them out to soldiers in need. Almost 3,000 soldiers died or were severely hurt because there weren't enough doctors to help everyone. I wanted more than anything to become a nurse to help the soldiers. But in my day, women didn't travel alone, especially since I would be alone with huge groups of male soldiers. I wrote to the War Department and spoke to local politicians, and no one would give me a pass to do what I wanted. So I went to my father and asked him. He used to be a soldier. Of course, he answered that it was the right thing to do. It wouldn't bring me shame, but respect to care for the wounded soldiers. In 1862, I finally received permission to treat soldiers. I then set up a way to transport supplies like clothing, bandages, and food from many local women's groups. After the war, I then arranged to go with my family to Geneva, Switzerland. While I was there, a man named Louis Apia told me he had heard about what I was doing in the Civil War. He was a part of the International Red Cross. I had never heard of such a thing. He told me that in 1864, all of the Red Cross's members countries signed an agreement called the First Geneva Convention. This treaty stated that Red Cross workers were neutral. This meant that Red Cross workers didn't pick sides. They would help anyone in time of need. I visited Red Cross headquarters in Basel, Switzerland. I was amazed at the Switzerland organization ran. The Red Cross was all order, plenty, cleanliness, and comfort. I knew that I had to bring this back to the United States, and I did just that. I met with President Rutherford B. Hayes and his wife. They both seemed interested, but I was passed to other agencies. My friend Susan B. Anthony helped me support me along with other feminists and groups of Union War veterans. Finally, in 1881, President-elect James A. Garfield gave me his approval for the American Red Cross. I was so excited. But tragically, on July 2nd, 1881, President Garfield was assassinated. I was overwhelmed with grief, not for just his death, but to know his replacement, Chester A. Arthur, may not support the Red Cross. However, to my surprise, March 16th, 1882, President Arthur signed the Geneva Treaty, making the United States the newest member of the International Red Cross. I got right to work, helping with disaster after disaster. By 1884, I was exhausted, but was asked to attend the International Conference of the Geneva Convention in Switzerland on behalf of the United States. It was the first time a woman was asked to represent the United States at an international event. How could I refuse? Nothing in my life ever satisfied me like helping those in need. I was proud of all my work, but needed a rest. In 1904, after 23 years as the president of the Red Cross, I retired. On April 12, 1912, after months of being ill and a lifetime of service to my country, I passed peacefully at my home in Glen Echo, Maryland.